Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne Sharp World, where today we have our first ever Tucson on the channel. This is the Tucson TS-129, and I've got to say, for my first experience with Tucson, this has been a pretty good one so far. Before I go any farther, I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. If you like what you see, please do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button, follow along, and I will continue to pump out the content for you. Now, some specs on this knife. We have an overall length of just under 8 inches, a closed length of just under 4.5 inches, blade thickness coming right in at 0.15 inches, blade length at 3.5 inches, as well as the sharpened length coming in right at 3.5 inches as well. We have M390 steel on this guy, a sheep's foot blade, front flipper, and a nice finger hole for deployment. Titanium handle along with a carbon fiber front scale. This guy is running on KVT ceramic ball bearings. A total weight of 114 grams. Yeah, that's what it gave me on Amazon. I probably should have threw this on the scale, but 114 grams, so you can do the conversion. And most impressively, a price coming in at $129.99, and this was via Amazon, so I didn't even have to bid for it on eBay, which was the biggest reason of why I have this knife. I don't play the eBay game, not a fan, kind of hate eBay, so I will never be buying anything off eBay. But this right here, like I said, from Amazon, so that's great. I hope to see a lot more of that. Now, size comparisons. Look at that. Pretty sleek. Really cool design. Alright, so let's start off with some regulars. We have the Benchmade large grip Tillion, as well as the Benchmade bug out. Let's see here. Yeah, the grip is a little longer, not by much, just has that little butt sticking out there, but pretty decent size comparisons there. And let's do a Spyderco comparison. We have our Spyderco Shaman and the notorious Deadpool. You can see right there. As always, the PM2 is always a little longer than everybody because of the rather big, bubbly scales it has, but there's just something about the PM2 that it doesn't matter because it's just universally liked by almost everybody. So there's those, and one more special little size comparison for you. I was up late last night, and I did some scale swaps. I have my XM18 here that I put a natural canvas micarta scale on. So we'll stick that guy right up there. And then also my TRM Atom with some Gicarta scales that I'm not sure how much I like these yet, but there is that. So, very good comparisons right there. Those are pretty much very close in length. That should give you guys a good idea of the overall size of this knife. And now let's get into the blade. First of all, this blade is absolutely perfectly centered. As you can see, perfect centering. No blade play whatsoever. This guy is really built like a tank. In all honesty, I kind of get a ZT feeling from the overall build of this, which is says a lot. It definitely reminds me of that, or any other well-built production knife. Big fan of that. I'm also a big fan of the tip of this blade. Like I said, sheep's foot. I personally may refer to it as a bit of a modified sheep's foot because it kind of has that extra little zip up at the tip where the belly comes up and comes to a little more of an acute angle that would be really good for extra draw cuts. Kind of act somewhat like a Wharncliffe. It's not a Wharncliffe, although I don't know. Gosh, the way some of these companies refer to blades as Wharncliffes nowadays, maybe it is a Wharncliffe. I don't know. I'm going to call it a sheep's foot because it does have a decent amount of belly, but still a very nice tip up there. I like that tip a lot. Very useful. Not super dainty, but not super beefy. Really like where it's going with that. Not too thick or thin. Should be a very useful blade for all types of various cuts. The flipper jimping also makes very good thumb jimping on the blade. It bites in really well. I'll talk a lot more about this jimping when it comes to action because this has a lot to do with it. But it feels really good in hand. Bites into your thumb really well. It has a nice finger hole. There's a lot of things about this knife right now that have to do with the blade that play a lot into the action of this knife. But very nice finger hole here that works well for thumb or index or middle finger. And I like the fact that they did not chamfer it. They kind of milled out the sides a little. Kind of like, it's not chamfering, I don't really know how to say it, but instead of just leaving, the sharp tip like they did up here, which isn't sharp, but it's just, you obviously feel it, they kind of beveled it, I guess. Beveled was probably the word. They just beveled the sides around here, and we'll talk a little more about that later as well, because that is pretty nice. It helps, it really comes into play to provide the action. I did notice there was some type of coating on this blade, and you can see it right there. You see that? There's like a line, and I don't know what that is. It's not the grind. It's not the actual sharpened edge, because you can see that right here, but then you move it in the light and there it is. So I don't know what kind of coating that is. I've never noticed that on any knife before. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm just all of a sudden noticing it and it's on other knives, but I don't think it is. So if anyone knows what that may be, does Tucson put some type of coating on their knife? Right in front of my thumbnail, you can see it now, but it's odd. I've never seen it before. I don't know if it's good or bad, or if it's nothing to worry about at all. Let me know in the comments. I'd be interested to know that. But another thing that really sticks out to me with the blade and also the handles is the overall design of the knife. Is maybe it's just me, but it kind of reminds me of a Jesper Voxness design. I've seen a couple designs of his come out lately that kind of resemble this. I'm not accusing Tucson of, trying to copy Jesper or any of that, but it just kind of reminds me of one of his designs, from the blade to the ergos. Yeah, what do you guys think? Am I just wrong, or do you see a little resemblances there? But the ergos, yeah. So the ergos are also somewhat of a Vox. Kind of reminds me of Vox there because it has really good ergos. I wouldn't call them great, so they're not quite on Vox's level, but I do like them a lot. They're good, borderline great. The only thing that would make the ergos on this a little better is this dip right here, which I kind of like because it serves two purposes. One, if you don't want to choke up, it fits really well. This area down here that kind of gets wider, it fits into your palm really well. You have a really nice purchase on it. Not worried about it slipping out of your hand, and it's just really locked in there. But then you can also choke up, which I really like about this. You choke up right here, your middle finger goes in there, and that's where the ergos go from great to just good, because there's a little extra room up here. So my middle finger sits there, my two back fingers wrap around the back, the bottom, which is fine. But up here, there's just like some dead space. Doesn't feel the best, but at the same time, it's not exactly not bad. I just wish there was a little more space filled up right around there. But overall, no real complaints. I do like the ergos on this overall. A decent amount. Not the best ergos I've ever had in hand, but not too shabby at all. The liners on this, spaced out for a second. The carbon fiber handle on this is pretty nice. The carbon fiber scale, I should say. They kind of cut it in a direction where the fibers are going vertical, but they also kind of caught it to where you're getting that little checker effect somewhat that you normally see on most carbon fiber scales. But it's different, and I do like it. There's a little more lines up here. This is probably a part where as they're rounding it, you kind of just get the checkery effect, and then the lines, right here. So I like that. That's pretty cool. I really like the fact that there's also no liners on this. There's just one slab for the frame lock side and one slab for the carbon fiber side. It just always makes it look a little cleaner. It's a lot easier when it comes to disassembly, which I haven't disassembled this guy yet. And I tell you what, I'm pretty sure they dipped this knife in oil before they put it in the bag. I had to wipe the oil off this thing for like 20 minutes. I mean, it was just all over the place. Again, I mean, it's not ideal. But at the same time, at least you know there's no rust on this thing, nowhere. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. Definitely the most oil on a knife I've ever had before. So there's that for you. But no, all in all, I like the detail on this frame lock side. There's nice milling all over the place. Some little intricate little line and dot up here. And there's even more milling, as you can see. So there's vertical milling going this way, and then kind of diagonal milling going this way. Nice little design on the pivot up here. And also a little accent back here by the lanyard hole to the backspacer screw. And you also have that here on the show side. So a lot of nice little accents on this knife. Tucson didn't spare anything. You get a lot for 129. It's very impressive. There's also milling, as you can probably see there. You can't see it really well. I'm trying to get the light. There's some. You see in the back there. There's some milling for weight reduction there, as well as right in here. Yeah, right in there. So a lot of milling to help reduce the weight. And this is, for its size, a pretty light carry. I have no issues with the weight whatsoever. I usually don't, though. It's got to be a pretty much of a brick for me to have a real problem with the weight on a knife. And now the action, because this is where the thumb hole and jimping really come into play. Because like I said before, this is perfect, absolutely perfect front flipper jimping in my opinion. You put your thumb on there and bam, it's out. I'm telling you what, there is something front flipping is by far my favorite form of deployment, followed closely by the Spidey flick, and this knife has both of those. Spidey flicks like a champ. It is very fidgety for a bigger knife. Like that a lot about this. And like I said, the thumb hole. So I mentioned earlier that they didn't chamfer it, they more just so beveled it. And what that does is the bevel gives a nice little extra bite for your thumb. So when you flip it out the way you're supposed to, okay, so my thumb's a little sweaty, but the middle finger flip works fine. The front flip, obviously, like a champ. So hold on a second. Gosh. I have sweaty hands all the time, and it makes it so hard to get the action on point that most of you guys could probably do in your sleep. Okay, let's see. I sat at the kitchen table and did this all day. There it is, just like that. And it's a very satisfying whip out. Feels good, very snappy. The heavy blade comes out with authority. Blade. I think if you put the weight of the blade, compare it to the handle, it's considered a heavy blade. But like I said, at 114 grams, this is not a heavy knife at all whatsoever. But yeah, you get your thumb in there and it just flips right out. You can also do an index flick that works really nice. Actually, I kind of like the index flick better than the thumb flick. Works really well. I would probably go front flipper, middle finger, index finger, and thumb deployment in that order as far as my favorite order of deployments. But no, overall, the action's great on this. The ball bearings are nice and smooth. I also haven't taken this guy apart and cleaned it yet. A while back, I asked you guys, what do you prefer? Do you want me to review knives as is out of the box, or do you want me to open them up and clean them and lube them first? And you guys said leave it as is from the box, so I'm doing that. So I can only expect this guy to get a lot better when I open it up, clean it out, and and throw some KPL in there. But you never know. This actually, with all that oil in there, it's probably pretty clean. I don't know if I'm going to get the action to be any better, but as you can see, shake shut rather well. Do that one more time. Yeah. Not super drop shutty, but very easily shake shutty, if that works for you. But no, overall, very solid offering from Tucson. I'm a fan. This has been a great first experience. Pretty much a complete package for a knife. Really, really like this. I just hope that they do away with that eBay crap and make it available, make all of their knives available on Amazon, or, you know, distribute through a major retailer. I don't care who, Knife Center, Blade HQ, GP Knives, DLT, somebody. Start sending some knives through a major retailer, because those would be easy to get. I'm fine with Amazon too, though. Just stay away from eBay. I won't be buying from eBay. So, again, great knife. Great knife. If you haven't had a Tucson, like I said, this is my first one, and I've been into knives for a long time. So, if you like this one, they have a lot of different designs, and I think you would definitely be able to find one you like, and for the price, too. $129 for M390, titanium, ceramic bearings, and carbon fiber. Probably one of the best priced knives I've ever had. Now, we'll see how this holds up. Who knows? Maybe. Yeah, I'm a huge proponent of the saying, you get what you pay for. So, we'll find out. Time will tell. But right now, I'm very happy with this knife. Glad I picked it up. If it holds up well, I will definitely be getting other Tucsons. That's all I got for you on this one, guys. Let me know what you think. What do you think of Tucson? Have you had a Tucson? And that's it. I will see you on the next one. I'm out. Bye.